Crime scenes are not supposed to change. Once police secure a location, every detail is documented. Every object, every stain, every disturbance. So when investigators return to a sealed scene and find it altered, questions begin immediately. This is a true crime case involving a crime scene that appeared to reset itself overnight. Welcome to Unresolved Casefiles. The call came in during the early hours of the morning. Officers were dispatched to a residential property after a welfare check request raised concerns. Inside, they discovered signs consistent with a violent incident. Furniture was displaced, personal items were scattered, and evidence suggested a struggle had taken place. The scene was secured. Photographs were taken from multiple angles. Measurements were logged. Investigators followed standard protocol. Nothing about the scene stood out as unusual. Yet, after several hours, the property was sealed. Access was restricted. No one was authorized to enter. At least, that's what the records showed. Investigators returned the following day to continue processing the scene. But the moment they stepped inside, something felt wrong. The furniture was no longer displaced. Items that had been scattered were back in their original positions. Surfaces that previously showed disturbance now appeared clean. Even more troubling, some pieces of evidence documented the day before were missing entirely. It was as if the scene had been reset. At first, investigators assumed a mistake. Perhaps they were at the wrong property. Perhaps there was a documentation error. Perhaps it was just faulty memory. But the photographs didn't lie. Side-by-side comparisons confirmed it. The room had changed, and according to the logs, no one had entered the scene overnight. No signs of forced entry were found. No alarms were triggered. No access records indicated a breach. The crime scene, officially sealed, had somehow been altered. Authorities explored several explanations. One possibility was a procedural failure, an unlogged entry by cleaning staff, maintenance, or another agency. Another theory suggested environmental factors, objects settling over time, lighting changes affecting perception. Simple perspective shifts, but these explanations failed to account for missing evidence, or for heavy furniture being physically moved back into place. In other similar cases, investigators have acknowledged that crime scenes are sometimes unintentionally disturbed, but rarely, if ever, do they appear to reverse themselves. While the specifics of our main case are unique, documented cases exist where sealed scenes were later found altered in perplexing ways. In some investigations, bloodstains have disappeared from surfaces. In others, objects have been repositioned with an unsettling neatness. Sometimes, evidence is later rediscovered in locations that had already been thoroughly searched. In each instance, the same questions emerged. Was it human interference? Was it institutional error? Or was something overlooked the first time around? What makes this particular case different is that investigators could not conclusively prove any of those explanations. Because the integrity of the crime scene was compromised, the investigation suffered immensely. Evidence could no longer be reliably dated or placed. Timelines became uncertain. Defense attorneys later argued that the entire scene was contaminated and therefore, any evidence collected from it was inadmissible. Critical questions went unanswered, and without clarity on what happened that second night, responsibility could not be assigned for the initial incident. The case stalled, caught in a web of procedural impossibilities. To this day, key questions remain unanswered. Who entered the scene? If anyone did at all? How were items moved without leaving any signs of entry? And why was no official explanation ever fully documented or released to the public? Some believe the answer lies in simple human error, a mistake made and never admitted. Others suspect procedural cover-ups to hide a breach in protocol. And some argue that the scene was never truly secured to begin with, leaving a window of opportunity for someone to slip in and out unnoticed. But no definitive conclusion was ever reached. A crime scene is meant to preserve the truth, to freeze a moment in time, allowing investigators to piece together what happened. But in this case, time appeared to move backward. The scene changed. The evidence shifted, and the truth became harder to reach. This case remains unresolved. If you found this case compelling, consider liking the video and subscribing for more true crime case files. Another unresolved case is linked on screen. Thanks for watching.